Here's your news for April 5th, 2020. We're kicking off today with some political news now, as Vince McMahon recently sat down for a conference call with the White House. Vince McMahon was joined by UFC's Dana White on the call, as well as several leading figures in other sports, and according to White House spokesperson Judd Deere, the sporting officials thanked President Trump for his interest in the sports industry at this worrying time. In a conference call that included representatives from the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NASCAR, it's interesting that the NCAA wasn't included, and it's clear that everybody wants to get back to normal. Most recently, the UFC has desperately tried to continue putting on events, but many have been blocked by states and countries locking down on non-essential businesses, which has also affected both WWE and AEW in Florida. The NBA, NHL, golf, and NASCAR groups all suspended their recent seasons in March, which the MLB postponed the start of their season, and despite rumors of the NBA hosting the playoffs from a single location with no fans, nothing has been confirmed. With so many shutdowns being put in place, it's hardly surprising that WWE filmed WrestleMania over a week ago, as the company, and AEW, who filmed many matches this week before Georgia enters its own non-essential business shutdown, try to find their place in this unpredictable time. Despite the situation, WWE WrestleMania 36 has gone ahead, but after having a week to edit the show, there were still some issues last night. Online, some fans revealed that they were experiencing syncing issues with the audio of the broadcast, and one fan said that they restarted their feed multiple times, but it would always go out of sync. Other fans enjoyed the stream constantly buffering, though it should be noted that many fans enjoyed WrestleMania without any issues. It was previously reported that WWE could run into issues with the network due to so many people logging on at the same time, and though we can't say for certain what caused these issues, we hope things are better on the second night of WrestleMania. Speaking of night one, the main event of the show saw a trip to the Boneyard, as AJ Styles battled The Undertaker in an encounter that looked more like a movie than a match. After a standard pre-match promo, a hearse arrived with druids wheeling out a casket, and while fans expected this to be the dead man, it turned out to be AJ Styles. With no announcers throughout, the graveyard match had a unique and eerie quality to it, as the dead man arrived on his motorcycle looking like the American badass. From there, the match was a highly cinematic event, complete with music and rapid camera cuts that hid the fatigue of the 55-year-old phenom. Instead of the tired old man who suffered multiple botches over the past few years, fans saw the dead man of old, complete with attacking druids, shooting fire, and throwing people off of a roof. That's not to say that Styles didn't have his own offense, as at one point it looked like the Phenomenal One was going to bury the dead man, but it was ultimately Undertaker who reigned supreme, throwing Styles into the grave the Phenomenal One had dug himself. With opening titles and solid cinematography from the get-go, the match may have sounded like a bad idea on paper, but ended up being the perfect end to a pretty uneven first night of WrestleMania. Over the years, Vince McMahon has often said that sports entertainment is so much more than just the wrestling in the ring, and not only did the Boneyard match stand up as a cinematic delight, but hopefully will get fans more interested in tonight's Firefly Funhouse encounter between The Fiend and John Cena. Although the company is certainly set to lose millions due to having to change their show away from its original host in Tampa, the sight of seeing the American badass ride off into the night was certainly worth it. We feel that the presentation and the match were exactly what a show like this needed, as the WWE made the most of not needing a crowd, and given that this is the best the dead man has looked in years, perhaps more pre-taped matches away from the arena could indeed be in the Phenom's future. Though Styles may have lost the main event of the first night of WrestleMania, the Phenomenal One should be grateful that he made it out alive, although according to some clever fans online, that didn't quite happen. Shortly after the match, fans took to Wikipedia to change Styles' page, claiming he'd died on March 25th when the match was filmed, and cited the cause of death as buried by The Undertaker in a pre-taped Boneyard match. Of course, Styles isn't actually dead, but this still shows that even in these trying times, wrestling fans will always find a way to amuse themselves. One person who was particularly proud of the Boneyard match was WWE crew member Cornell Gunter, who took to Twitter to share photos of the behind-the-scenes filming of the cinematic masterpiece. Describing the match as his greatest accomplishment besides being a father, Cornell may have shared too much as he quickly deleted his tweet, but not before some people were able to screenshot it. In his tweet, Gunter even referenced JB, aka Jeremy Borash, as the former Impact employee who now serves as the Senior Director for Content and Development in NXT, was one of the brains behind the Boneyard match. It's been reported that anyone caught leaking WrestleMania spoilers will be fired, and while this wasn't a spoiler, the fact that Gunter quickly deleted his tweet after putting it up implied that this is definitely something he shouldn't have shared. One man who eagerly watched the Boneyard match was Matt Hardy, and though he's no longer with WWE, a lot of fans gave Hardy credit for innovating the idea of cinematic matches. Fans will remember Matt for the Ultimate Deletion matches and other cinematic encounters that happened on his compound, and while Hardy tweeted that he was honored to receive all the kind words, he also said that these matches work with the right characters, in this case, the Deadman and Styles. While Hardy is keeping his humble self, without the success of his Ultimate Deletion bringing cinematic matches to the WWE, we may have never even had the Boneyard match, which may become another huge stipulation for WWE to utilize in the coming years. While fans got to see plenty of action and entertainment during Night 1 of WrestleMania, one man fans didn't see was Hulk Hogan. According to Ringside News, there were plans for the Hulkster to appear at this year's show, but ultimately, negotiations fell apart. The rumor is that Hogan was supposed to do a talk show segment, possibly with Christian on the Peep Show, and while this would have probably been the case had WrestleMania remained in Tampa's Raymond James Stadium, it ultimately never came to be. We've got more WrestleMania news for you now, as this year's show has been very different, with no access, NXT TakeOver, or Hall of Fame. Outside of the company, indie events and the entire pro wrestling world have been hit hard by the current ongoing situation, and this has unsurprisingly had an impact on the fans' interest with this year's show. In a study of Google Trends done by Ringside News, it was revealed that this year's show scored a 31 on their point system, much lower than WrestleMania 35, which peaked at 100. Although there's been plenty of praise for certain parts of the show, such as the Boneyard match, many booking decisions had fans scratching their heads, including having Shayna Baszler defeat 5 other opponents inside the Elimination Chamber just to become another opponent for Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. With this year's show being a 2-night extravaganza, hopefully WWE will be able to figure something out to spark fan interest today. But for now, it just seems like fans can't focus on the very different WrestleMania, especially with what is happening in the world right now. We've got some AEW news now, as though Diamond Dallas Page may be a WWE Hall of Famer, the sports entertainment juggernaut isn't going to call him anytime soon. After appearing on AEW programming a couple of times to help Cody Rhodes out, Page has rubbed WWE up the wrong way, as he revealed in a yet-to-be-released interview with TalkSport's Alex McCarthy. In the interview, Page says how WWE won't work with him at the moment because, quote, "I helped out Cody," and said that without Dusty Rhodes, there would be no DDP, so the opportunity to help out the American Dream's son was a no-brainer. It's no secret that Page and Dusty were close, which explains why the master of the Diamond Cutter was so eager to help Cody in big match situations, even if WWE doesn't like it. With his status in AEW though, Page doesn't really need WWE to have his back in order to maintain his livelihood, as the yoga enthusiast seems more than happy working with AEW. Back to WrestleMania now, and one star who was scheduled to appear but didn't was The Miz, who missed his SmackDown Tag Team title ladder match. According to reports, the A-lister was feeling ill during the tapings for the Showcase of the Immortals, which ultimately led to both him and Roman Reigns withdrawing from the show. Though this did cause WWE to make some major changes to their biggest show of the year, Ringside News is reporting that there is no backstage heat on the A-lister, as he was pulled from the show for reasons beyond his control. In these unpredictable times, it's certainly better to be safe than sorry, so hopefully it won't be too long before fans see The Miz and Mrs. Star back in the ring again. From one former WWE champion to another now, as The Undertaker certainly had a unique match during Night 1 of WrestleMania 36, and this wasn't the only appearance by the Deadman on the show. During WrestleMania, a trailer aired for a special WWE Network special titled Undertaker Last Ride, which will document the Deadman's most recent years in the company. In the trailer, the Phenom is interviewed speaking out of character, as is his wife Michelle McCool, as the WWE Universe will get to see a side of the former world champion that they've rarely seen before. With a title like Last Ride, it certainly seems that the Deadman's legendary career may finally be coming to an end, and after 30 years of amazing fans, The Undertaker has certainly earned his retirement. Though The Undertaker was able to extend his legacy, the Phenom wasn't the only veteran who appeared last night, as the show also saw an appearance by 24/7 champion R-Truth. Hoping to avoid any superstars after his belt, Truth opted to hide out with Gronk and Raleigh, but quickly realized that both men were eyeing up his coveted green and gold title. After the three-time Super Bowl champion made his own attempt to win the title, it was Mojo who would once again win the gold, though it'll be interesting to see whether the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner will still be the 24/7 champion after Night 2 of WrestleMania. One notable absence from WrestleMania this year has been Triple H, as the WWE COO is missing his first Mania since 2007 to focus on being a full-time corporate man. As a corporate man, the game knows all about proper company dress code, and though he may be a fan of rock music and the band Kiss, he didn't let his fandom get in the way of the company rules. While on Talk is Jericho, referee Marty Elias said that he was fired for wearing a Kiss shirt, and claimed that Kevin Dunn and John Laurinaitis were the ones who told on him. He said, "In a nutshell, I was let go because I violated the company dress code. I wore a Kiss t-shirt. I got to the building and, unbeknownst to me, Johnny Ace and Kevin Dunn had seen me in a limo when they were waiting for Vince. Kevin Dunn told Johnny I was out of dress code. I went to the building and I was doing my stooge duty where I had to check everybody in, and I went into catering, and Johnny and Kevin and Mark Carrano were sitting at a table, and Johnny saw me and goes, 'Marty, what the fuck are you doing wearing a Kiss t-shirt?' And I said, 'I'm sorry, I just put it on.' It was the last shirt I had that was clean. I got a call, and I remember Carrano telling me, 'Hey, Johnny needs to talk to you.' So I called Johnny, and Johnny goes, 'I gotta let you go.'" While it's great that Marty has been able to carry on outside of WWE, let this be a lesson to anyone in the company that the WWE doesn't mess around when it comes to their dress code. And finally, we're looking at tonight's half of WrestleMania, as we now know which matches will take place. On the kickoff show, Natalya will face Liv Morgan, while on the main card, Aleister Black will collide with Bobby Lashley, and Otis will hope to get his revenge on Dolph Ziggler. SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley will have the odds against her when she defends her title against 4 other opponents, while the Street Profits will defend the Raw Tag Team titles against Angel Garza and Austin Theory. Edge will look to get payback when he meets Randy Orton in a Last Man Standing match, while John Cena will collide with The Fiend inside the Firefly Funhouse. NXT Women's Champion Rhea Ripley will have a tall order when she defends against Charlotte Flair, while Drew McIntyre will hope to slay the Beast when he meets WWE Champion Brock Lesnar in what should be a truly exciting second night of WrestleMania 36.